Before the world knew his name, before empires crumbled at his feet, there was only a boy, a dream, and a fire that no kingdom could contain. This is not just the story of a conqueror. It is the story of ambition, betrayal, glory, and the price of reaching too far. This is the story of Alexander, the boy who would not accept the limits of the world. This is the legend of Alexander the Great. Every legend has its roots, and Alexander's began in a kingdom that few respected, but everyone would soon fear. Before Alexander the Great, there was Philip II and Olympias, two names that shaped not just a boy, but the future of the world. Macedonia, in the early 4th century BCE, was a rugged land of warriors and farmers perched on the edge of the Greek world. The southern Greeks, the Athenians, Spartans, Thebans, looked down on Macedonians as barbarians, uncultured and rough. But what Macedonia lacked in philosophy and art, it made up for in iron and ambition. At its heart was King Philip II, a man forged in war and exile. As a young prince, Philip was held hostage in Thebes, where he studied Greek military tactics, not as a scholar, but as a survivor. When he returned home, he took a fractured kingdom on the brink of collapse and forged it into a war machine. He reformed the Macedonian army, inventing the sarissa, a spear so long that it turned infantry into unstoppable walls of spikes. Philip united the Macedonian tribes, crushed enemies on the borders, and slowly pushed southward, eyeing the rich city-states of Greece. But behind every king stands a queen. Olympias, daughter of a Molossian king from Epirus, modern-day Albania, was no ordinary queen. She was a priestess of mystery cults, a believer in omens, snakes, and divine visions. Fierce, proud, and deeply spiritual, she believed her line traced back to Achilles himself. The marriage of Philip and Olympias was a union of steel and spirit, a partnership that would birth both a conqueror and a legend. But Macedonia, for all its rising power, was still viewed as a frontier kingdom. Rough warriors, simple farmers, but a kingdom on the rise. And from this soil, something extraordinary was about to bloom. The night Alexander was born, Macedonia was already a kingdom on the march, ready to challenge the Greek world, and soon, the world beyond. In a land of steel and superstition, how could a king be born without the whisper of the gods? As Philip II's armies marched south and Olympias prayed to ancient powers, a child entered the world who would shake the earth. The year was 356 BCE. On the night of his birth, something strange happened far from Macedonia. The temple of Artemis in Ephesus, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, caught fire and burned to the ground. The soothsayers murmured, "A flame has left Ephesus to ignite the world." Back in Pella, Olympias dreamed of a thunderbolt striking her womb, setting her alight with divine fire. Others whispered that a serpent coiled itself in her bed. Whether it was prophecy or political theater, Olympias believed her son was no mere mortal. He was born of Zeus himself. His name would be Alexander, and even as a child, he carried the weight of destiny. At 7 years old, while other boys played with wooden swords, Alexander questioned Persian envoys at his father's court. Not about trinkets or games, but about their kings, their armies, their roads. The ambassadors laughed, saying, "This boy thinks like a ruler, not a child." And though Macedonia's warriors sang of conquest and Philip's armies crushed city after city, Alexander was already dreaming of empires beyond borders. One day, while watching his father win another battle, Alexander sighed. "My father will leave me nothing great to conquer." But there were still tests ahead, and before he ruled men, he would have to conquer fear itself. Before Alexander faced armies, He faced something far more dangerous: the doubts of men. The sun blazed over the Macedonian plains as nobles gathered at court, drawn by the snorting fury of a beast unlike any other. Bucephalus, a towering black stallion, his eyes wild, his hooves tearing at the earth. Trainers cursed, soldiers mocked, and even Philip II, a man not easily impressed, shook his head in frustration. This horse was untamable, they said. No price could justify the risk. But as the crowd began to disperse, one voice rose above the murmur. "I will tame him." The laughter was instant. A boy of just 12, challenging men twice his size. But Alexander stood firm, his eyes locked on the beast, not the crowd. Philip watched, amused but curious, as his son approached the seething mass of muscle and fear. Alexander moved slowly, not with bravado, but with intent. He studied the horse's terror, noticing what no man had. Bucephalus wasn't fighting out of rage. He was fighting his shadow. The dark shape beneath him sent him into a panic, rearing and twisting away from what he couldn't escape. Alexander's hands stayed low, voice soft, as he took the reins and turned the horse's head toward the sun. Now, with the shadow behind him, Bucephalus stood still for the first time. The boy whispered to the beast, stroked its mane, then vaulted onto its back in one fluid motion. The crowd fell silent. Bucephalus thundered across the field, his hooves striking the earth like war drums. But atop him sat Alexander, steady, unshaken. When he returned, dust swirling around them, Philip's eyes filled with pride. He embraced his son and spoke words that would echo through time. "My son, seek a kingdom worthy of you. Macedonia is too small." From that day forward, Alexander and Bucephalus became one legend. Horse and rider, destined to outrun fate itself. History isn't just what happened. It's the heartbeat of who we are. If this story inspired you, taught you something new, or gave you something to think about, drop a comment and let your voice echo through time. Subscribe for more stories you've never heard, but will never forget. And if you believe in keeping history alive, you can support the journey on Patreon or Ko-fi, links in the description below. Every bit of support helps bring more forgotten stories back to life. May the echo of history unite us.